Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Monday, May 9th, Lebanon City Council meeting. Our first order of business will be the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we'll move on to the roll call members. Madam Clerk, call the roll, please.
Mike Kincaid.
Present.
Keith Campbell.
Here.
Morris Jones.
Here.
Dick Robertson.
Present.
John Copeland.
Here.
Brent Wheat.
Excused.
Thank you. And Sierra Messenger.
Present.
Thank you.
Okay, and we do not have the minutes, or we do?
Well, did you guys get the minutes?
I know they
in time
were probably a
to-
little late, right?
They were late. And if we need to, we can just let you look at them and do it the next time.
We'll do it next time. It'll be fine. Is that all right?
It was late.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, we'll move on to old business then. First item up, and this is not on your agendas, this was a mistake. This is just the ordinance 2022-12, amending waterworks rate ordinance. Sorry, I was misinformed that you guys suspended the rules at your last meeting and adopted that one, or I thought that, but I was aware that was just the electric portion, not the water. So I put the water one back on, so that makes sense. So we do have Ed from the utilities, if you want to remind us what this is about.
Yes, good evening. We've talked about this in the last couple of meetings. What it amounts to is there was they removed the utility receipt tax, and we need to adjust our rates by July 1st. And we've already passed the electric portion, done the first reading on the water. And this is just to finalize it so we can change our rates, because there's an ordinance controlling it. So, any questions?
Yep. So again, this is the rate reduction for our.
It's actually a rate reduction.
Yep.
So some of the questions I got, the rate change, it's usually an increase, and we were concerned that we were increasing the rates, we're actually decreasing the rates.
Yep, just want to make sure everybody's clear. So, any questions for Ed from the council?
No, sir.
Okay. Rob, can you read the ordinance, please, on second reading? Is there a public hearing on this as well, too, by the way?
I thought that we, that we weren't, or we talked about having one, but I don't think it's required by.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay.
All right, ordinance 2022-12 is an ordinance that amends ordinance 2018-06. The city owns and operates its own waterworks system for the purposes of providing sufficient supply of potable water. On March 15th, 2022, the Indiana General Assembly House passed House Bill 1002, effective July 1, 2002, which is codified in part as House and referenced at Section 8.1.2-4.2, and that's considered House Bill 1002. House Bill 1002 provides that all utility receipts, tax, and utility service use tax shall be repealed. Therefore, a rate adjustment is required by House Bill 1002, and it has been recommended that this council, to this council by the Lebanon Utility Service Board through the passage of its resolution 2022-02. A rate adjustment is subject to this council's approval. This council has previously passed ordinance 2018-06, adopting a new schedule of water rates and charges to the city. And therefore, this council has determined that 2018-06 be amended to include a new revised rate schedule that's attached as Exhibit A and shall be effective July 1, 2022. Therefore, this council finds and determines and incorporates the preambles that I just highlighted to this ordinance, and they're made findings and determination of this council. Ordinance 2018-06 is amended, and this ordinance shall take effect on July 1, 2022.
Okay. Now the ordinance has been read. Any discussion, comments from council?
No, sir.
Any public comment at this time? Okay. I would then entertain a motion concerning ordinance 2022-12.
Go ahead, Sierra.
I make a motion we approve ordinance 2022-12.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt. Is there any further discussion?
Nope.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Those opposed? That is approved unanimously. Thank you, council. Okay, next up is ordinance 2022-08, amending the salaries of certain employees of the city of Lebanon. This ordinance on second reading. Chief Morgan.
council. I'll do a quick refresher on why we need the funding for the evidence tech. We have one evidence tech right now that is on call 24/7, 365. That's for 42 officers. We were going to try and make it this year. That's why we didn't ask for it in the budget. But with the body cams, it's just too much. We're averaging 10 requests a week, which doesn't sound like much. But each request may be up to 50 videos, depending, because every officer has 3 cameras on them. They have a body cam, they have a dash cam, then they have an in-car camera. So if there's a call, that officer may have 3 videos by themselves. So then each officer that was on that may have 3 videos. So the evidence tech has to go in and find each video, download it, which takes quite a bit of time, then put it in a file to send to the prosecutor's office. Right now, currently, we have 1 evidence tech. The county has 3, Whitestown has 2, Zionsville has 3. Just for a reference on case numbers, we have 1,720. The next highest department is Zionsville with 950. They go down from there. So as you can see, we have the fewest evidence techs, but we have the highest number of cases. That's why we're asking for the funding for a new evidence tech.
Okay. Any questions for Chief from the council on that?
No, sir.
Rob, can you read ordinance 2022-08 on second reading, please? Or, sorry, go ahead.
I just had, we should be good with you, right?
I'm sorry?
We're done with your part.
Oh,
with
yeah,
the
yeah,
evidence
yes,
tech.
mhm.
But I have online, on first part, under motor vehicle, under section A, we increased that laborers line because we only had 8 in there when we turned this in last year, and it's really 9, so we increased that from $338,575 to $375,575. So along with the evidence tech increase of 50,000, or the new line, we're also increasing this line. So those 2 changes will go to DLGF under this ordinance.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Sorry,
Yep.
forgot about that
That's
part of
fine.
it.
Yep.
Any questions for Tanya on that?
No.
Did you read it last time?
I
or
think I did.
You go, okay, go for it,
That's
Tanya.
fine. Be it ordained by the Common Council of the City of Lebanon, Indiana, following statement of salaries is the base pay for positions listed. Full-time employees of the city receive longevity pay at the rate of $75 per year, per each year of service. Longevity pay begins after the first full year of service and does not include the current year of service when calculating the amount for each employee. If that employee transfers to a vacated position, the amount of the salary would be no more than the amount listed in said ordinance plus the longevity of the employee transferring to said vacancy. That salary of the following employees of the City of Lebanon beginning, it currently says April 25th. It's now going to be changed to May the 9th, 2022 as follows. And again, the only 2 changes was the 1 line in motor vehicle and then the evidence tech. And this shall take effect May the 9th, 2022.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any further discussion from council?
No, sir.
Any public comment on that? Okay. Would entertain a motion then on ordinance 2022-08.
I make a motion that we approve ordinance 2022-08.
We have a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Sierra. All those here say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That is approved unanimously. Thank you, council. Okay, next up, ordinance 2022-09. Council to consider rezone for 1400 West State Road 32, Lebanon Shill Building. This ordinance on second reading. Ben?
Good evening, council, mayor. Just give a quick refresher of this here from last time. This is the site in question here, where we're going to be constructing the Shell Building project we've been working on for a little over a year. State Road 32 here to the south, and Interstate 65 is just to the east, so just a little bit west of the interstate. This was currently zoned planned business commercial. We're looking to rezone this to planned business industrial to facilitate the construction of that shell building, which we will be marketing to a variety of manufacturing or advanced manufacturing users, that the city will be able to control who goes in that building. So we can be assured that we'll be getting a quality firm in there that will meet all of our requirements in terms of the type of user, the pay, and those sorts of things. So this rezone facilitates the construction of that building. I talked to our contractor just fairly recently, and they're hoping to have this under construction in the kind of the June-July timeframe, and substantially complete towards the end of summer and into fall, with landscaping probably going in next spring, because when we get into the cold season, we'll get to that. But they'll have the building itself substantially complete this fall, and we're already marketing the building as we speak. So working on finding those tenants now, and hopefully by the time the building's done this fall or in the next spring, we'll have those tenants lined up and ready to buy the building from us. But this rezone gets us going.
Thank you, Ben. Any questions for Ben from the council?
No, sir.
Okay. Rob, can you read the ordinance, please?
Thank you, Mayor, Council. Ordinance 2022-09 is an ordinance rezoning the property and amending the zoning map of the city. The petitioner, GM Development Companies, LLC, filed its application for rezone before the City of Lebanon Plan Commission, seeking to rezone approximately 8.92 acres, located at approximate address 1400 West State Road 32, Lebanon, Indiana, and that's described in Exhibits A and B, from Plan Business Commercial zoning classification to Plan Business Industrial. Pursuant to Indiana Code, the City of Lebanon Plan Commission conducted its required public hearing on April 18, 2022, voted 6-0 to send a favorable recommendation of the rezoning petition of the property, and certified its recommendation to this body on April 19, 2022. Pursuant to Indiana Code, the Lebanon Council has considered the application, and the recommendation of the Lebanon Plan Commission now adopts the proposal and approves the requested zoning. Therefore, GM Development Companies, LLC, is the owner of the property. The petitioner seeks to have the property, again, that's comprised of approximately 8.92 acres, that's described in Exhibits A and B, rezoned from Plan Business Commercial to Plan Business Industrial zoning classification. This council has paid reasonable regard to the applicable comprehensive plans, the current conditions and character of the current structures and uses in each district. That after this date, the official zoning map of the city shall be changed to rezone the subject property from Plan Business Commercial to Plan Business Industrial. Further, the Director of Planning of the City of Lebanon Plan Commission is authorized to change the official zoning map consistent with this ordinance.
Okay, thank you, Rob. Now the ordinance has been read. Any further discussion from council?
No, sir.
Any public comment at this time? Okay, I would entertain a motion then concerning ordinance 2022-09.
Make a motion, we approve 2022-09.
We have a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Morris. All those there say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Ordinance 2022-09 passes unanimously. Thank you, council. All right, next up, didn't go very far. Ordinance 2022-10, council to consider a PUD rezone for the Storn Horse development from Arbor Homes. This is on second reading as well.
Again, just a quick overview, and I'll steal a couple of slides actually from the applicant's presentation from last time, because their overall map looks better than mine does, to give you an idea of where the property is located. This is on 100 South. The Interstate 65 access is just to the west here of the site. You kind of see here where this site is in proximity to the Waterford development that was approved previously by council. About 230 acres located here. This, again, is a PUD rezone, so this involves both the rezone to the PUD and then also ordinance that defines all the standards associated with the development. This is a perfect development to use the PUD process because it does have 4 different product types that all have their own standards associated with the lots and designs of the houses that you'll see in here. So it's a perfect opportunity to use that PUD rezone to kind of write the standards for each one of those individually, and rather than trying to figure out what zoning districts to assign to each one, and some of them don't fit in a particular zoning district. So that's why we went through this process. That's a real quick overview. If you want me to go into more detail about the actual development itself, like we did last time, the applicant is here to do so if you want that. Otherwise, I'd just be happy to answer any questions if you have any.
Any questions for Ben at this time from council?
No, sir.
We there any questions for the applicant? Okay. Rob, can you please read ordinance 22-10?
Thank you, Mayor, Council. Ordinance 2022-10, the Stone Horse PUD District, concerns an ordinance amending ordinance number 07-16, the Unified Development Ordinance of the City of Lebanon. Whereas this council has adopted ordinance number 0716 of the City of Lebanon Unified Development Ordinance pursuant to its authority under the laws of the state of Indiana. The City of Lebanon is subject to its Unified Development Ordinance. The City of Lebanon Advisory Plan Commission considered a petition docket 22-24 filed with the commission requesting an amendment to the Unified Development Ordinance and to the zoning map with regard to the real estate that is described in Exhibit A. The commission forwarded docket 22-24 after a public hearing held on April 18, 2022, to this council with a favorable recommendation by a vote of 6-0 in accordance with Indiana law. The Secretary of the Commission certified the action of the commission to this council on April 19, 2022. Now, therefore, this council, meeting in its session, therefore determines that the Unified Development Ordinance and zoning map are amended as follows. As addressed at the last time, I just hit the highlights. This ordinance is about 17 pages. So Section 1, again, covers the applicability of the ordinance. Section 2 talks about the concept plan, and that's also attached as Exhibit B to this ordinance. Exhibit C is the sub-district plan that's attached to this ordinance. Section 3 talks about the underlying zoning districts, as Ben had talked about at length before, District 1, 2, and 3, and the different products. Section 4 talks about the permitted uses. Section 5 goes on about the general regulations that set forth in this PUD ordinance. Section 6 addresses the development standards, and it also has Exhibit E, or the proposed entry signage. Section 7 discusses the design standards, and there is an Exhibit D that has some imagery that associated with this PUD. And that covers essentially this ordinance.
Okay. Thank you, Rob. Now the ordinance has been read on second reading. Any further discussion, comments from council?
No, sir.
Any public comment at this time? Okay, then I would entertain a motion concerning ordinance 2022-10.
I'll make a motion, we approve ordinance 2022-10.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Ordinance 2022-10 is adopted unanimously. Thank you, council. Next up, Ben. Ordinance 2022-11. Council to consider a rezone for 1720 Southeast Street. And this is for Habitat for Humanity. Second reading.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a real quick overview again on this site. Habitat for Humanity purchased this site and intends to subdivide it into 3 parcels. They would all meet the SF3 zoning district standards and would all be sufficiently similar and adequately similar to the other lots in the area. Currently, however, the lot is zoned plain business commercial, so it does not permit residential uses, which are the primary uses you see to the east and north of the property. So Habitat is seeking a rezone of this property from plain business commercial to SF3 that would allow them to subdivide this to 3 equal parcels and allow them to construct 3 houses, 3 single-family homes on the property. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Ben at this time from council?
Ben, did we ever find out what that drainage is?
No, that's going to probably, they'll have to do a survey, and I think that's going to show us a little more information when we get that survey. At this time, we don't have enough information to adequately understand what that is.
Any other questions?
No, sir.
Okay, Rob, please.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. Ordinance 2022-11, again, concerns the rezoning of property and amending the zoning map of the City of Lebanon. The petitioner, Habitat for Humanity of Boone County, filed its application to rezone before the City of Lebanon Plan Commission, seeking to rezone approximately 0.7 acres that's approximately, or located at the address of 1720 Southeast Street, Lebanon, Indiana, and is described in Exhibits A and B, from Planned Business Commercial zoning classification to single-family residential SF3 zoning classification. Pursuant to Indiana Code, the City of Lebanon Plan Commission conducted its required public hearing on April 18, 2022, and voted 6-0 to send a favorable recommendation of rezoning the petition of the property and certified its recommendation to this body on April 19, 2022. Now therefore, this council finds that the petitioner, Habitat for Humanity of Boone County, is owner of the property. The petitioner seeks to have the property comprised of approximately 0.7 acres, located at approximately 1720 Southeast Street, Lebanon, Indiana, and described in Exhibits A and B, rezoned from Planned Business Commercial to single-family residential SF3 zoning classification. This council has paid reasonable regard to the applicable comprehensive plans, the current conditions, and character of the current structures and uses in each district. That from and after the date, this official zoning map of the City of Lebanon shall be changed to rezone the subject property from Planned Business Commercial zoning classification to single-family residential SF3, and that the Director of Planning shall be authorized to change the official zoning map thereof.
Thank you, Rob. Now, the ordinance has been read on second reading. Any further discussion from council?
No, sir.
Any public comment at this time? Okay. Then I would entertain a motion then concerning ordinance 2022-11.
Make a motion, we approve 2022-11.
We have a motion to approve. Is there a second? Second from Sierra. All those here say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That is approved. All right, that concludes what I have for old business. Thank you, Morris, for covering when I was gone. I know there was a lot of old business for you. Is there anything from council?
No, sir.
Okay, well, on the new business then, first item up is ordinance 2022-14, trash recycling services billing ordinance, and this ordinance is on first reading. As we shared this with the council, you should have a hard copy in front of all of you. We know this probably isn't the final version of this, but we wanted to get you in front of you. We do have a goal for implementation of July 1. We opened bids at the Board of Works meeting at the, I guess, April 26th or whatever it was, our last meeting you guys had. And so we ended up going with Ray's Trash was the low bid for trash service with optional recycling. So that was the board direction that the Board of Works felt was council's intention with that, and not have a mandatory recycling as part of the bid. So this essentially presents those fees that are included in that from that bid document, and then essentially would put that into our city code. We do have a 5-year agreement with Ray's, and the pricing is laid out in there under Exhibit A. We are still going to work through some of the details on how that interacts with our current city code. There may be some sections that may need to be amended, but this is the meat of the ordinance essentially. And so I wanted to like I said, bring it forward to you guys. If you have questions, concerns, places you may feel like you need to be amended, let us know. We can make those changes before this is on second reading. But we wanted to keep this process moving forward. To remind you, currently what we're paying for trash service actually. We're subsidizing that at the moment, right? So what we collect from people's utility bills is not enough to actually pay what we're paying to Raise. So we are eating into our sanitation fund reserves to currently cover our costs for trash service. So the sooner we can get this implemented, the better for the city, essentially. So there is, you will notice too, a 75-cent administration fee that is also included in the ordinance. This is in line with other communities. Whitestown's was the same percentage of their trash fee as well too. So it's echoing that percentage there. So we're not out of bounds with the administration fee, and that essentially covers any costs that Tanya has, collecting these, and then also, if we're not paying out every single dime. It allows us to a little bit kind of reimburse ourselves from the surplus or from the the money we've been paying right now to kind of help us build back some of that reserve surplus in the sanitation fund that we could then use for other services involving sanitation, such as the, cleaning out of the bins or things like that, or if we wanted to implement other programming with the sanitation fund. So that's part of what that administration fee goes towards. So with that, just open it for discussion first from council, concerns, questions, and then I'll have Rob read it. We can kind of dive into it.
I have a
Go
question for you.
Yep.
Are we going to be sending out information prior? A lot, I hope.
We will be. So we had a kind of a kickoff meeting, call it with Ray's trash service last week. There were, I was there, Joe LePage in Communications was there, Tani's office was there, utility billing office was there, and so we were talking about coordination efforts of getting the information out, and we plan to do that through several channels, social media, of course, but then also putting in the billing of the utility bills, and we were talking with utilities of when we can do that and how we kind of roll that out, as well as on our, of course, our city website, publications, things like that. And then there will also be additional, the bid did include where everyone will get a trash bin now, and there will be information that how to put out your trash can, what goes in it, what can't, things like that. That information will be included in that when those bins are delivered too. So, excuse me. So yes, there will be a significant education process as part of this. Essentially when we talk with Ray's, the biggest thing is, wherever you put your trash out now, continue to do so. There may be certain individual situations that will work with the homeowner to make sure that their truck can access where they pick up the trash. But all in all, essentially, it's about getting it facing the right way so that the truck with the arm can pick it up and dump it.
That's just a question. It is going to be just like the recycles, only it's one person driving the truck and he's going to pick it up.
That is correct.
We're not going to have 2 or 3 people on the trail. One person. That's not correct.
Kevin, if there's anything I missed you want to touch on?
Yeah, I don't think there's anything missed, but yeah, to your point, yes, will be a piece of equipment, a truck similar to how recycling is picked up today. Really, this is where the industry is going. It really cuts down the amount of labor that the trash companies have to maintain, because right now there's typically a driver and 2 people hanging on the back of the truck, and that's also a safety issue, a concern issue there that the industry is trying to get away from. So yes, this would require, and that is what was bid, was for more automated trash pickup. Hence the need for standardized canisters.
That's what I mean. That's one I think they need to all hear early,
Yep, absolutely.
because that's going to be something new.
Yep.
For thousands of people in Lebanon, there won't be 16 bags of trash laying out front.
Correct. And the way it was bid as well, it's essentially anything that's in the bin is good, but if it's outside the bin, you will need to have what's called an overage bag, and those bags will come directly from Ray's. We're still working through some of the details. You actually may be able to buy those at the street department or the clerk treasurer's office, or we're still working through those details. But you'd have to have a special bag.
So it'll be a different color, too.
It'd be a different color. Yep, I'm not going to tell
If it
people what
didn't
color
have
it is,
colors,
but
they're not going to pick it up, right?
that's correct, yes. So,
That's the way I understand it.
so it's got to be in the bin.
Education process.
That's
We're
what I'm
gonna
saying.
start
We need to
bigger
educate
picture.
them now.
We'll
Yep.
start bigger picture. You're going to get a bin. This is what the bin will look like. This is what can go in the bin, and then it'll get into details of this is where you place your bin. This is what happens after pickup. This is what happens if you put stuff you shouldn't put in your bin. And we'll just drill down over the course of the next few months so that everyone will, 1, understand there's a change coming, and 2, then understand all the details associated with the change.
That's fine. I just want to make sure everybody knows it early.
Yep. We, that was definitely a big topic of discussion with Ray's, that the education piece is going to be important because it definitely is a change. But I do think it will be, once people adjust to it, it should be a smoother process for everyone. And there's some unique situations that they can assist with if there's, individuals that have, their ADA compliance, right, or things like that. If they need assistance, that there are some things that Ray's can do to assist with that. So kind of all those minutiae that we can kind of work through. And again, it's the beginning of a process, but again, it's kind of where the industry is going. We're actually probably one of the fewer cities that still have guys hanging off the back of the truck now. And a lot of it is cities have gone to these automated pickups now because labor is challenging, and if you can hire one guy with a a truck with a joystick, that's more efficient than 3 guys doing my manual labor. So again, more automation just happening in the industry. So
Just a couple comments here. I know that nothing can be told ahead of time, but I know this is the way the industry is going, but there's also that other part that we need to anticipate. It's a specialized truck. If it breaks down, it doesn't run. And because it's one driver, if that driver's sick, it also doesn't run. So the industry needs to also have extra workers and things like that. So that's kind of the downside to this, going this direction. It's very much more labor intensive to do it this way.
Yeah, and those questions, those topics get discussed. Obviously, the fleet of these automated trucks is much newer than some of the older trucks that maybe are a little bit more troublesome to maintain. And obviously, this is a much lesser labor demand. So I think that generally is a little more insulated from some of the some of those issues inherent to any labor force. So this is really an answer to some of those questions of trying to make more automated, more reliable equipment, trying to make a more recession and COVID-proof workforce. So these are all things that are happening in that industry. Is it perfect? No, but this is definitely the way the industry is going. And if I could show you the list of complaints that we're getting today on trash pickup, it's not great. In fact, it's been increasing quite significantly over the last few months. And when you talk to Ray's or any of the companies, and they would all say the same thing, we've asked them the same thing, the issue is labor force. So why are they missing routes that they never used to miss? Well, because they're putting people on trucks that aren't used to that, because there just aren't enough people. It's not as easy to get someone to hang on the back of a trash truck as it used to be, apparently. So I admit I wouldn't want to hang on the back of a trash truck.
any other questions at this time?
Yes, define bulky waste in that process of picking up.
I don't have the definition in front of me, but it is defined in our contract. Essentially, it is large household items. And it goes into listing examples. Typical bulky waste items might be a piece of furniture, including beds, mattresses, couches, chairs, large household appliances, including stoves, refrigerators, dishwashers, things of that nature. Any appliance that would have refrigerant in it, the owners will have to have a professional certification that those refrigerants have been removed. Beyond that, it could be a bin of other refuse that you might have. But it's anything that normally wouldn't fit in the can, and there will be one bulky waste pickup provided to every resident on a monthly basis. So there is...
For no additional charge?
For no additional charge. That is so for right now, the year one monthly service rate with the 75-cent administration fee is going to be $13.05 a month. With that, you get one bulky waste pickup every month at your curbside. So what will go away is the heavy trash days we had weekend before last. Now we will do that at the curb for everybody. Then in the contract, they will provide an additional bulky waste pickup. Year one is for $30. I think right now, if you call Ray's to get a bulky waste pickup at your curb, they charge you, I think, $25. So it's about what it is today. So that's one additional. And then the mayor mentioned overage bags. Overage bags can be purchased ahead of time for $2 a piece. And those are bags that will be labeled as an overage bag, and you can set that out with your bin, and Ray's will also pick that up. How do they pick it up? Well, the driver of the truck will get out. After they empty your bin the first time, they will get out, put the bin back down, put the overage bag in, and then dump it again. That's how the overage bags work. Because everything.
Say that again.
Sorry, that's a lot. So if you have an overage bag, how does it work? Some people ask that. It is a trash bag, a heavy-duty trash bag that you'll put out next to your bin. When they pick up your bin, the automated arm will pick it up and dump it. They will set it back down. The driver of the truck will get out with the overage bag in your bin and then dump the bin a second time. Is how that will work.
He will,
Reach
he will put that in the bin.
Yes, because
They can't reach it.
you can't.
Well, I understand.
There's
I
no
understand
holes-
that.
The hole's in the top of the
There's
truck.
no longer back of a truck, right? Everything goes in the top of the truck.
I understand.
16 feet off the ground.
I understand.
So, they're not supposed to pick it up and throw it. Obviously, that's a safety issue for those drivers. They're supposed to put it in the bin and dump the bin again.
So if they remodel their bathroom and they put a bunch of stuff in this overage bag,
Well,
Yep.
there are limitations to what you can put in,
Okay.
in your trash can and your overage bags. And construction debris is actually currently prohibited right now today, and it will still be prohibited. I know they take construction debris all the time, and they'll tell you they do it all the time too, but technically, they're not supposed to take construction.
we're spoiled.
Yeah.
We have been, yeah. So,
What about computer stuff?
E-waste is also not included. There are other outlets around town, and the county does an e-waste day every year. But yes, there will be this will be part of the education process. There'll be a very specific list of what can go in there. What can't go in there, those are some of the big things: construction debris, e-waste,
dead animals.
dead animals, whether that be a pet or some roadkill you decide to scrape up, that can't go in there. Yeah.
Geese?
I'm telling you, we had a very thorough conversation with Ray's, so we had a lot of things I never even thought about. Yeah, so.
I mean,
Well,
the good
everything
thing
you-
about Rays and any of the qualified bidders, they've been around this business for a long time, and they're very versed in how they transition a contract with the city. They're very versed in the education process. They're already sending us draft education documents that we're reviewing, so.
So what does a resident do with construction debris?
Well, they could call for a heavy pickup. That would be
Okay.
one. Or that one time a month, they could put all that stuff out at their curb. Now, it's one item, so what they described is if you've got a bunch of construction debris that you want to put out for your heavy waste pickup on a monthly basis, you can have your own trash can that you put that in, and they will get out and empty that trash can. So when they come around for heavy waste pickups, most likely they're bringing the old trucks. for
Yeah,
heavy
that will have
waste
the back,
pickups.
Okay.
Yeah, so they'll have one crew essentially, so they'll have multiple, one truck with the over-the-top dump, right? And they'll have one truck with the guys on the back, right? So they're not completely eliminating that, so that's where they'll be able to get the heavy waste pieces. But obviously, they're not having, every single person's not putting out heavy waste every single week, right? So it's a
Yeah.
little more managed, so.
And that's just allowed the first pickup of the month.
First
I
week of the
believe,
month, yep.
Is
Yeah,
is
we'll
the
work out all
heavy
the
trash.
details, but typically it would be
It
the
would be the
first, your
first
first pickup of the month.
of the month.
Would be your heavy
Yeah.
trash.
I'm going to assume that this transition is going to generate more questions than any other thing we've implemented.
Well, it has that potential.
Yeah.
We hope, and obviously Ray's has done this a lot.
Yeah, yeah.
And they even just went through a similar transition in Franklin, Indiana, where they are expanding their existing contract, just like we will be doing. Ray's is our current service provider. So again, they've learned a lot from the Franklin transition. They're already building those questions and answers into the current communication documents that they're sharing with us. So also the good thing too is that this will actually eliminate the clerk treasurer's office, or currently it's the street department, taking and fielding all of the question and answers. We will now have a dedicated person and hotline phone number for us to give out to residents for them to call when they have questions.
Call Ray's?
Trash.
Okay.
Yeah, this is actually going to remove a lot of administrative function on our part at the street department and in Tanya's office as well. But primarily the street department, they're the ones who get the calls with trash and recycling complaints.
But we'll still get those calls, which is why we have the administrative fee. So,
Okay.
yep.
Thank you.
All right, I'm going to have Rob read the ordinance at this time. And then, like I said, this is still first draft, but can be amended later, but this is our first swing at it essentially, so.
Thank you, Mayor. Council. Ordinance 2022-14 establishes the service rates and charges for the collection and disposal of solid waste, trash, and garbage within the city of Lebanon. The city of Lebanon is a duly formed municipal corporation governed by this city council. This council finds that by contracting for residential garbage and rubbish removal on a citywide basis, the city may provide for better citywide rates, provide for and encourage residential recycling, and otherwise benefit the general health and welfare of the residents within the city. The city, by using one trash collection services for the residents, provides substantial savings to its citizens compared to each residence having to contract with private trash haulers. Pursuant to Indiana Code, this council is authorized to establish a fee to pay the cost of the city to collect and dispose of garbage and other trash in a sanitary manner. This council believes that it is fair and equitable to impose a fee to pay the cost of trash collection services provided to the city residents. Pursuant to Indiana law, the city solicited and received bids to provide trash collection services for the city residents through the Board of Works and Public Safety. Raised Trash Services, Inc. was the lowest responsive and responsible bidder, and the Board of Works awarded the contract for trash collection services as indicated for a 5-year period. Therefore, in order to provide a procedure for collection of the monthly trash collection costs from all residences, it is therefore necessary to enter into this ordinance. Therefore, the foregoing recitals are incorporated by reference. Chapter 51 of the Municipal Code of the City of Lebanon is amended as set forth in Exhibit A. All other ordinances and provisions not specifically changed shall remain in full force and effect, and this ordinance is and shall be effective as the date of its passage. And the rates and charges set out in Exhibit A shall become effective on July 1, 2022. And that's what Kevin was highlighting, Exhibit A, were the rates and everything.
Thank you, Rob. Now the ordinance is read. Any further discussion, questions from council?
No, sir.
Okay. Any public comment at this time? Okay. Ordinance 2022-14 has now been read on first reading, and we will take that up at our next meeting. Again, if you have any, I would take a glance at chapter, chapter 51 of our municipal code. If you see anything that we feel like we need to modify there, please just let us know, and we can make those changes at the next meeting. So we'll move on from that. Okay, next up, ordinance 2022-15. This is repeal of ordinance 2017-03. This ordinance is also on first reading. This ordinance essentially, as we've talked about before, this is kind of a point of discussion concerning the availability fee waiver ordinance that we talked about concerning the Angel Gardens project. It seemed to, at the time, while the ordinance may have made sense in 2017, I think the will of the council was that we had moved past that now at this point. So essentially, this is the repeal of that ordinance. So I'll have Rob read it quickly. It's a fairly short, and then we can have a discussion if there's any questions or concerns of how that is worded. So, go ahead, Rob.
Thank you, Mayor. Council Ordinance 2022-15 is an ordinance of the city repealing Ordinance 2017-03. The City of Lebanon is governed by its mayor and the city council. The council is authorized to enact, amend, and repeal ordinances duly adopted by the council. The council has previously adopted Ordinance 2017-03 concerning waiver of tapping fees for multifamily and single-family areas within the city. Now, therefore, this council finds that the recitals are incorporated by reference. This Lebanon City Ordinance 2017-03 is hereby repealed and of no effect. Any and all actions taken in adoption of this ordinance 2022-15 and its repeal are hereby ratified, and this ordinance shall be in full force and effect in accordance with Indiana law upon its passage by this council.
Thank you, Rob. Any questions, comments, discussion concerning ordinance 22-15?
So you don't believe that there will ever be a period of time in the future that this would be beneficial?
This is not my ordinance. This is coming from the council.
Yeah.
I think there were, again, the intention behind the 2017 ordinance was to find a way to spur economic development, especially on the residential side. I think we've seen that potentially take off now. I think we probably could have amended and changed some of the criteria to, set a higher threshold on the price value, things like that, change maybe some of the wording. But again, there would seem to be will from the council for a complete repeal, essentially removing that tool, which again, it's the council's will. So that's the intentions behind it. It wouldn't impact if any development has received this, it wouldn't impact that, right? They would still, because they were approved under the previous ordinance that was allowed. But this would be just be going forward. It's no longer essentially an option for us. So.
Because it was successful in helping spur development, now we don't need it. Is that what you're saying, Dick?
It didn't spur any development. The development was already happening.
Okay.
It just assisted that one development.
I will say, though, I think the parcels that I looked at back in 2017 of saying, why don't we have residential development here? Those have now all been developed, right? So I think, that especially the Angelique Gardens project, that had been in the city for more than a decade, right? And had not been developed. And so their questions was why, right? So I think it was a tool that made sense when we were talking about it. I think it was applied correctly in the situation with the Angelique Gardens. But now going forward, there aren't really many parcels now that are in the city that haven't been already developed into that, right? Because the other ones I looked at were where Cedar Ridge is happening, as well as the Auburn Meadow, or excuse me, not Auburn Meadow, Riley Ridge, right, which were essentially were phase twos of neighborhoods that never got developed. So those have all now are being built out or being in the process have been approved, right? So I think kind of what we were trying to accomplish was succeeded. Not every one of them needed that ordinance, but it was a tool that we used. And again, I think that the council made the decision with the Angelique Gardens project that they wanted a lower density product, right, because of the kind of unique utility challenges with that site. And that was a decision the council made. So again, we can continue to look at if there are different tools that we feel like we can use to spur that going forward if we feel like we're lacking somewhere. But I feel like we've done a pretty good job and it's kind of has started, and I think it's up to the market then to respond going forward as well. It's okay.
It's good for me.
I know that the utilities will be coming forward sometime soon for for us to look at a rate increase in the availability fees. And I've said something to Rob, even about this ordinance, that I'm not sure really that we should have that responsibility to waive those fees. I mean, we set the fee, the utilities know what the fee is going to be. To me, it seems like it should be up to the utility board to waive that fee and not us to waive that fee, because we're kind of like micromanaging them. They know what their needs are, and should they waive that fee, and next time come for us for a rate increase, we got the ability to say, well, why? If you're going to waive them, why do we need to raise them? If you're going to waive them, But I could be wrong. I'm just thinking, I don't know that we really should have that ability to do that.
I mean, I would say at the end of the day, I mean, the city council created the utility board, right?
Correct. I understand all what you're going to say.
You do have the authority to set rates and charges, right? You have the authority to waive fees if you choose to do so, if you create the framework to do it, right? So we're removing it, and again, that's the council's will. But it was created it was another tool that we could have to try to spur economic or residential economic development, right? So again, there are other tools we could create, but
could we put that when they bring their ordinance? Could we put that line in there somewhere in that ordinance without us having to?
You can do whatever you want to do, Dick.
Okay.
It's the city council's prerogative on all of those situations. Any further questions, discussion?
No, sir.
Any public comment at this time? Please state your name for the record.
My name is Aaron Smith. I'm a Lebanon resident. I'm also a member of the Lebanon Utility Service Board, but that's not why I'm here tonight. I'm here as a ratepayer. The availability fees pay for improvements to our system, capital project improvements. The portion of the availability fees that is used for that does not require those same funds to come from the ratepayer. So the availability fees help future capital projects without ratepayer increases. Therefore, the elimination, thank you, Mr. Robertson, for proposing this, is a ratepayer-friendly action, and I certainly do hope you support it. Any questions?
Any questions for Aaron?
No, sir, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Aaron. Any additional public comment?
No, sir.
Okay. Any final thoughts, close the discussion?
No, sir.
Have we read it already, Rob? We did? Okay, yeah. All right, so ordinance 22-15 has been read on first reading. We'll take that up at our next meeting. Okay, that concludes what I have for new business. Is there anything from council?
Make a motion, we pay the claims.
We have a motion to pay the claims. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from John. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Claims are approved. Any announcements or discussion from council?
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Okay, we have a motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Sierra. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, we are adjourned. Our next city council meeting will be Monday, May 23rd at 7:15 PM. Have a great night.